As the day was winding down in Millfield, Indiana, both students and teachers were looking forward to the end of another school day. Unbeknownst to them, however, things were about to take a drastic turn. At precisely 3:15 p.m. on March 21, 2018, Strong Bay School went into lockdown. The lockdown was triggered by a student who claimed to have seen an unidentified figure lurking in the shadows of the playground. Mrs. Williams, the school's principal, swiftly ordered a lockdown and directed all students and staff to move quickly into their designated safe zones. As the doors were locked and the blinds were pulled shut, an overwhelming sense of fear spread throughout the school. Huddled in corners, students and teachers whispered nervously to each other, struggling to remain calm despite their mounting anxiety. As the minutes ticked by, the school's intercom crackled to life, and a low, raspy voice began to speak. "Attention, Strong Base," it said. "We have taken control of the building. Do not attempt to escape, or you will face the consequences." Panic erupted as the students and teachers realized they were no longer safe. The voice continued to taunt them, making vague threats and promising violence. Everyone was on edge, wondering when the intruder would strike. The police were quickly notified and arrived on the scene within minutes, but despite their efforts, they were unable to locate the intruder. The lockdown continued for several hours, with students and staff growing increasingly restless and frightened. It wasn't until late into the night that the intruder was finally caught. As it turned out, he was a former student who had been expelled the previous year. Seeking revenge on the school, he had planned the entire lockdown as a twisted way to get back at his former teachers and classmates. The incident left the students and staff shaken and traumatized. It made headlines across the country and raised questions about school safety and the measures that need to be taken to protect children. Despite the passing of time and a healing of wounds, a lingering sense of unease remained in the halls of Strong Base. The identity of the intruder and what had driven him to such extreme measures were the questions on everyone's mind. Most importantly, could something like this happen again? It was a chilling reminder that sometimes danger can come from unexpected places, and that schools must remain vigilant and prepared to face any potential threats. As Millfield grappled with unanswered questions, one thing was certain: the memories of the fateful day would never be forgotten. The next story took place at Forest High School in Ocala, Florida, on April 20th, 2018. A student had brought a loaded shotgun onto campus and opened fire, resulting in the school being immediately put on lockdown as students and staff fled for their lives. The shooter, a 19-year-old former student, had a history of mental illness and had made several concerning statements in the weeks leading up to the shooting. Despite this, he was still able to obtain the weapon and carry out his horrific attack. One student was injured and the shooter was apprehended, but the incident left a deep scar on the community, raising questions about mental health care and gun control in America. As the investigation continued, rumors circulated about the shooter's motives, with some claiming he had been bullied, while others suggested he had a grudge against the school. However, no one could say for sure what had driven him to commit such a heinous act. In the years that followed, Forest High School became known as a symbol of tragedy and loss. The families of the victims struggled to come to terms with their grief, while the students and staff tried to move forward in the wake of such a traumatic event. Even as life returned to normal, the events of that day lingered in the minds of everyone involved. Parents hugged their children tighter, and teachers became more vigilant about school safety protocols. The school underwent several changes in response to the incident, including the installation of security cameras in every classroom and hallway, retrofitting all classroom doors with stronger locks, and hiring a full-time security guard to patrol the school grounds. Despite these measures, some students and staff members still reported feeling uneasy in the days and weeks following the lockdown. Some claimed to have seen or heard strange things during the incident, things that couldn't be easily explained. Mrs. Johnson, a teacher, reported hearing what sounded like someone whispering in a hurry during the lockdown. She said the voice was cold and menacing, seemingly coming from right behind her, but there was no one there when she turned around. A student named Tyler claimed to have seen a figure standing outside his classroom window during the lockdown, describing it as tall and thin with pale skin and glowing eyes, similar to the popular internet meme, the Slender Man. Despite these reports, school officials were quick to dismiss them as the result of stress and anxiety, insisting that nothing unusual had occurred during the lockdown and that everyone was safe and accounted for. But for those who had experienced the lockdown firsthand, the memories would never fade. The fear and uncertainty of that day would remain with them for years to come, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the ever-present threat of danger. As for the identity of the intruder who had sparked the lockdown, that remains a mystery to this day. The police investigation turned up no leads, and no suspects were ever apprehended. It seemed as though the intruder had simply vanished into thin air, leaving behind nothing but a trail of terror and confusion. In the end, the only thing that could be done was to try and move on from the incident, to return to a sense of normalcy and routine. But for those who had been through the lockdown, that would prove easier said than done. The memory of that day would haunt them forever, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the walls of their seemingly safe and secure school. If you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and share it with your loved ones. Remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you get every update on the channel.